Hi, my name is Rancu, and I'm a rising junior in the physics department at Duke. This summer, I worked with my mentors Sarah Shin and Adam Gretsch to better understand the importance of representative enrollment in good clinical trial design. A lack of representative enrollment weakens the strength and impact of clinical trial findings. Despite multiple efforts and recommendations by the FDA, clinical trials sponsored by the pharmaceutical industry have struggled with achieving this. While trials conducted underneath federal entities that advocate for these changes, like the National Cancer Institute or the NIH, have come closer to achieving these goals, they still don't get there. Just in a quick summary, clinical trials are essential for evaluating drug safety and efficacy. Confidence in clinical trial conduct is required for successful integration of study results into clinical care. Currently, like I said, the medical industry is really struggling with clinical trial participation from minorities. Additionally, this issue has only become more important during the COVID-19 pandemic because of the disproportionate effect this has had on racial and ethnic minorities. As mentioned before, well-recognized barriers to clinical trial participation exist. These barriers exacerbate health disparities already present in populations of clinical interest, and we've got to talk about them and investigate them before we can adequately address this problem. These barriers include, but are not limited to, a dearth of domestic clinical trials, as in many of these clinical trials are conducted overseas or with international participants. Patients are not aware of their eligibility. Physicians are not aware of the clinical trial availability or of their patients' eligibility. Physicians sometimes carry an unconscious bias with their patients. There are broad eligibility requirements that oftentimes exclude large portions of patients. And on a more individual basis, patients can be limited by their socioeconomic factors or their general distrust of the healthcare system. We've selected a couple ongoing efforts to assess representative enrollment here. One of them is the FDA drug trial snapshot summaries. These are compiled by the federal government for all FDA-approved drugs in a calendar year. And I believe they also have a summary report for 2015 through 2019. This will offer you a breakdown on racial and ethnic minority participation. There's also a tool that we call the Clinical Trial Assessment of Infrastructure Matrix, which was created by the NCI Community Cancer Center program site. The tool is designed to be used by clinical trial sites to self-assess their capacity for certain areas such as accrual activity, quality assurance, and clinical trial portfolio diversity management. Despite these and other areas of value being very important in good clinical trial design, representative enrollment was not a key feature, which we would hope it would be in the future. Now, finally, we can discuss some solutions to increase representation in these trials. These include, but are not limited to, public outreach and communication, both with patients and physicians. There is early engagement with patient advocates. Most research has shown that advocates are very helpful in facilitating patient participation. An introduction of question prompt lists. These facilitate conversations between patients and physicians and lead to more fruitful discussions. Physician level interventions. This would help their understanding of clinical trials as well as dealing with those implicit biases we mentioned before. And improved geographic availability, which is pretty self-explanatory. Looking forward, clinical trial enrollment practices still require continued investigation, specifically the FDA and as well as other stakeholders like pharma and a pharmaceutical industry group and Transcelerate have published guidances on how to improve participation of underrepresented minority groups. Now, just some of these things that have been mentioned are reforming all or nothing exclusion criteria or adjusting phase 2 exclusions during phase 3 trials and characterization of drug metabolism and clearances. Additionally, using to-date reporting directives and guidelines from federal stakeholders like OMB and the FDA is key to dissecting clinical trial participation. We can't really address the problem until we have a better understanding of the problem. Now, another issue is that there's no oversight from these organizations. Without more involved oversight, lack of available clinical trials data will delay progress in solving these issues. Once again, I'd just like to thank my mentors for helping me on this project, as well as the Margolis internship for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.